To thread the Bernina 10-away sewing machine, you need a couple of things. Beyond the sewing machine, you need a spool of thread, the bobbin case that goes with your machine, and a wound bobbin. Precision while threading the machine is key. You need to do these steps absolutely precisely or your machine may malfunction. If you are using this style of thread, then it is important that the notch here goes down when you put it on the spool pin on your machine. If you have one of the other two kinds of spools of thread, it does not matter which direction it is placed on the spool pin because there is no notch. The reason the notch needs to go down is that when the spool is spinning on the spool pin, it is less likely for the thread to catch on the notch if it is at the bottom than if it is at the top. If the thread were to catch on the notch, you would break your thread and you would have to rethread your machine. You want to place your spool of thread on the spool pin that is closest to the needle for that same reason. Now that your thread is on the spool pin, you need to pull it to the left and behind this hook right here. When you pull it forward in that hook, you need to pull it from both sides until it clicks into place. Next, the thread needs to go down this groove on the top of the machine. This groove is very important because it carries this tension disc. If the thread does not pass through the tension disc, your machine cannot hold on to the thread and feed it smoothly to the needle, which results in loose stitches that do not hold together. That is why it's very important that the thread gets clicked into this hook before going down this groove. Once the thread is through the groove with the tension disc, it needs to go around this hook on the front of the machine. Your thread is always going to go from right to left and will never cross over itself as it moves through the machine. This step in threading the sewing machine is one of the most crucial steps because it is the place where if you do it wrong, it can be the most problematic. You need to get the thread through the take-up lever. Once again, you're wrapping the thread around from right to left. So as soon as your thread reaches the top edge of the take-up lever, you pull the thread forward and securely down. If it is not pulled all the way down in the take-up lever, the thread will end up getting tangled in the gear mechanism that's behind the take-up lever, which makes it really hard to remove since the 10-away machine does not open up. In a closer look, you need to pull the thread up on the right side of the take-up lever, and once you hit that little groove at the top, right here, you pull the thread around to the left side so it is between the plate and the take-up lever, and you pull it all the way down. You can see that thread right in the front of the take-up lever. If you look at the front of the machine, you should see a big capital N formed by your thread passing through the machine. There is one more place the thread needs to be secured before it can go through the eye of the needle. There is a little hook right here that the thread needs to go behind. Just like that. If you miss getting your thread behind this hook and you put it straight through the eye of the needle, as you stitch, this thread is being pulled down by the take-up lever and it will get wrapped around this thread guide hook here, which causes a lot of extra tension, meaning your thread may snap and you will have to restart your row of stitching after you rethread your machine. So you want to get the thread behind this hook and then straight back through the eye of the needle. It is very important that you don't let the thread get wrapped around the end of the needle. Because if it is wrapped around the end of the needle, it will have too much tension and something will break. So again, make sure the thread is not wrapped around the needle. Looking at your presser foot, you can see this little slit in the presser foot. That is so you can put your thread underneath and let it hang off to the left side of the machine. You need to leave a thread tail hanging off the edge so that when you start stitching, your thread doesn't get sucked back up and become unthreaded. Now it is time to put the bottom thread in the machine. Your bottom thread should already be wound onto a bobbin. If you don't know how to do that, you can watch my video on winding a bobbin. If your bobbin is covered like mine is, which just prevents the bobbin from becoming unwound in the box, you will need to remove the cover and place it on the extra spool pin on the machine. Look at the way your thread is wound on your bobbin. You want that thread to be wound so that the thread is forming a 6. A 6, not a D. See, this would be a D. A D is dreadful. You want a 6. You need it to form a 6 because that way you know if you were to pull on the thread, your bobbin would spin clockwise. Turn your bobbin case over so the open side is up, and with your bobbin thread forming a 6, lift that bobbin straight up and drop it right into the bobbin case. If you turn your bobbin case on its side, you will notice a little plate and a little slit. You're going to pull the thread that's hanging off the side of the bobbin over to the slit, into the slit, and then back to the left under the plate so that it's resting under the plate between those two arms. Right there. Now turn your bobbin case over to the front so the bobbin is hidden or turned away from you, and that thread is going to hang off the right side of the bobbin case. You do not need to thread it through the eye of the bobbin case. The only reason you would is to do machine embroidery. But for all-purpose sewing, the thread just hangs off the side of the bobbin case to the right of the arm. The way you put the bobbin case into your machine is with the bobbin facing away from you. You want the bobbin facing the machine, not you. And this little arm on the bobbin case needs to be pointing up. There is a little lever here on the front of the bobbin case. That lever helps you to remove the bobbin case from the machine. That lever should be pointing to the left or horizontal. And again, the thread hangs off to the right side of the arm. Open the cover plate, this little door here, and push the bobbin case in with the arm pointing up, the thread off to the side, and the bobbin facing the machine. You need to push it in until you hear a loud click. If you don't hear that click, it is not in securely. There is one more thing we need to do, and that is to bring the bobbin thread up through this little hole in the throat plate so that it can be hanging off the side with the upper thread. Don't worry, you don't need to thread it through that little hole by yourself. There is an easier way. To do this, you are going to hold the top thread with your left hand securely, and your right hand is going to turn the hand wheel towards you a complete turn. You know you have gone a complete turn because your take-up lever will have gone down and all the way back up to the top position. If you keep some tension on the thread in your left hand, you should see the bottom thread form a loop underneath the presser foot. If you don't see that loop, pull on the top thread to pull the loop up. Then you can slide a pin under the presser foot, which will pull the loop up, which means the bottom thread is up under the presser foot. The last thing you do is to close the cover plate, and you have threaded your machine. Congratulations and happy sewing!